Broadcasting from the creation of time to the end of the world. Buckle up, baby. This ain't your grandma's Christian show. It's time to get down and dirty on Change for That.
Welcome to July.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm Chester Proctor.
I'm Kurt Tootle.
I'm Andrew Hodges.
And Andrew Hodges in the seat for Cedric Thrower, who couldn't be with us today. Well, it is. It's July 2nd. It is a brand new month. How have the first 6 months of your year been? They've been pretty inclusive.
What?
I don't know.
Inclusive?
Yeah. Have they been good?
Yeah, they've been good.
Good.
I've had a good time.
Any news?
Nope.
None.
None at all.
None at all. All
no.
right.
My wife is not pregnant
Oh,
that we know of.
you guys were kind of sad about that.
I am.
Are you? Was she happy?
I don't think so,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some good news. I work at community hospice. Most of the listeners know that, but I got to pray with a 94-year-old woman that accepted Christ last week.
Really?
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. Is she still alive?
She is right now.
Yeah. That's great, though. That's
Yeah.
great. The peace, the knowing. 94. Talk about rolling the dice.
Yeah. I mean, she waited.
I know.
And her family has been praying for this for over 40 years.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome.
It is.
Hey, speaking of people who've made big decisions, Andrew here just last Sunday was baptized at Smith Street Baptist Church.
What?
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. That was a high five if you could hear that.
That was a high five. So yeah, that's cool though. But I love that's. But let me just be clear about something. You should not wait till you're 94
No.
because there's no guarantee you're going to make it to 94.
No.
And wouldn't you hate to
Not at
find
all.
out? I mean, wouldn't you hate to get there and be like, "But God, I was waiting till I was 94."
The
You know?
even cooler thing about this is this patient has dementia.
Yeah.
And she's not very clear with her speech.
Right.
And she doesn't remember a lot of the people around her.
Right.
But for that 10 minutes I was there, she could speak with me clearly.
Wow.
And she could respond to my questions and to my probing a little bit. And, God did wonders with that. That was awesome.
That is cool. The 10 minutes of clarity when you're talking, that's the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
doing
it
something
is.
there. So that's pretty cool. Well, guys, we miss so much our buddy Cedric.
Yeah.
But we are glad to have Andrew in here. He is the filler-inner for you guys when you're out. And so he brings a lot to the stage. And he brings as much talking as you, so it's going to pretty much be
It's just going to be the Chester
it's
show.
going to be like the old days when Change for That first got its start. Well, guys, we're going to talk about, we got questions, we got some issues, but I need to mention this, and this is important because I don't want to be incorrect. Last week I talked about, at the One More Thing, I talked about the alt-right movement and how the Southern Baptists, and I gave the Southern Baptist Convention a good tongue lashing in about 15 seconds, about how they should have been a little bit more willing to accept a motion or a resolution against racism and so on and so forth. What I spoke with someone recently who was at the convention in Phoenix, and this person told me that they had a copy of the resolution because the resolution that was presented was given to everybody who was there to vote.
Yeah.
And the vote was not against the resolution. It was against allowing that resolution to the floor. And I said, but why? And he said, because it was poorly written. Now, I'm not going to use his name, but I said he said it was poorly written. And it didn't necessarily, it was not just as simple as one major issue. And it was poorly written. And so that's why it failed to garner the support to go to the floor. But the resolutions committee recognized the importance for it. And they went ahead and they spent all evening, like into 2, 3, 4 in the morning, rewriting that bill so that it did make sense, so that it was appropriate, and so that it did go against the alt-right movement. And that was the bill that almost unanimously passed. Of course, there's still some of those people that didn't vote for it, but it almost unanimously passed, which is important. But I will say this is what I gathered from it. It is so maybe the convention wasn't as bad as it was made out to be. Although I want to point out, the article we read was from the Christian Index, which is like the Georgia Baptist newspaper.
Yeah.
And then the that was taken word for word from the Baptist Press, which is like the Southern Baptist newspaper. So somebody needs to write better if they're not going to, because that's where that confusion came from.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this, it sounds like it's no different at the Southern Baptist level than it is in Washington when it comes to writing, or at the state legislature when it comes to writing bills. You'll have a Let's All Be Friends bill that has 15 little areas of it that are all about killing each other. I mean, it goes right against what we're talking about, and that makes you so you can't vote on the Let's All Be Friends bill because secretly down on line 375, page 15,000, we want you to die. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that just goes to show you we talk about a lot of issues on the show, but for the most part, what we talk about when we open our mouth, we're giving our opinion because we weren't there.
Yeah.
And we, like you said, we pretty much took a pretty hard stance against what happened there, but that makes me feel a little bit better about the state of the convention.
Well, something else that he mentioned was, and I haven't been able to do the research very much to find out about this, but something else that he mentioned was that the convention has multiple times over the years put in similar "we're not racist" and "we don't support racism," or white supremacy types of resolutions. Okay, so I don't know that I'm going on his word, and I have no reason to believe he's wrong or lying, but I will say this, of course, with the understanding, the caveat that I have not read those to be certain. If that's the case, then I want to totally now flip my focus on those that are trying to continue to push for resolutions. In other words, how many times do we as a convention have to say we're not racist?
Well, I guess the other side would argue until you stop being racist.
Well, that's a good point. But what about the problem people don't understand is that the Southern Baptist Convention is a convention of autonomous churches.
Yeah.
And you're not going to wipe out racism 100% in any group. Any racism, any group, you're just not going to get 100% of it to go away.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you would think in the church you should, but I would argue that you don't have 100% Christians in the church. So why would you have 100%? Why would you have 100% racism wiped out? But with that being said, if the convention level says we're not going to support racism or the alt-right movement, do they need to keep saying it every year? Now, politically, they may need to. They may need to because of hurt feelings and hurt people. But at some point, I think you need to say, excuse me, but we've done that, and you can go read where we stand on that because we've passed it 7 times.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Years. To me, it doesn't really make sense to keep saying the same thing over and over again each year. I mean, especially if the stance is already written there, and according to whoever the source was that you stated, they've done this over and over and over again. But what you said makes sense to me because you said the church is not full of Christians. And I saw a quote on Facebook the other day that was really, really hit the nail on the head. It said, churches are houses full of sinners, and even worse, they're being led by a sinner.
Yeah.
And, that goes to show you right there. We're not perfect, and the convention isn't either, but I really don't see the need to keep restating that every single year.
So I went to I had an experience back on Tuesday where I went to a I'm not going to say where, but I went to a location, and this woman who is, and she's made my show before. She made it way back when I was doing this by myself. I used her as an example. Mm-hmm. She's known by many as a Christian woman, and loved by many. But I've seen a side of her that's very. If you're not in her group, you're second class almost.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I got a little bit of that feeling from her when I ran into her, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. And but what my point is that she doesn't represent all Baptists. She doesn't represent all Christians. She does represent a group of hypocrites. Mm-hmm. And that may sound harsh, but I'm sorry. Hypocrite simply means you're wearing the actual original term here. Little lesson for everybody. The original term that we get the term hypocrite from actually literally transliterates as wearing a mask on stage to portray something else. So that's what you're doing.
That's
basically.
Such a fitting description.
For what? For
a hypocrite.
Yeah, you're wearing a mask on
Yeah.
stage. Yeah. I had a person on Facebook recently who hasn't been in church in a while, and she put on there that Facebook should have two accounts, everybody should have two accounts, one for the one face and one for the other face, because they're all two-faced. And I posted underneath there, I don't remember what your face looks like.
That's good.
That's how I invited her back. We'll see if it works.
And if she's listening to the show, she'll never come.
She'll never be here again. So, any thoughts on this, Andrew? No. It's glad you could be here. All that what's that line?
All those years of broadcasting school finally paying off.
All right, we're coming back with your questions. We've got more. Listen, visit us online. Follow us on Facebook. Change for that on Facebook.com. Become a community insider. Community Insiders all month long, all the first year long, has been brought to you by Community Hospice, and now being a community insider is free for you, and it's because it's brought by Gigi's Landscaping. So give us a call or check us out on Facebook, facebook.com, and become an insider.
Change for that. We'll be right back.
Well, you can be a guy or you can be a gal. You can be a Larry, Mary, Stephen, Nick, or Sal. You can be from here or you can be from there. As long as you got flavor, Zaxby's just don't care. You can be anyone and have your own flair. As long as you got flavor, Zaxby's just don't care.
And now try the flavor of hot honey mustard on the boneless wings meal. Served with crinkle fries, Texas toast, and a 22-ounce drink. Friends, family, flavor. Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
A lifetime of love.
In such a time of personal loss, it's hard to remember the joy our loved one has brought us.
We thought back to our happiest memories of Mom.
Pretty soon there was laughter with the tears.
Let us help your family remember a lifetime of joy.
The lifetime of love.
Memories of a Lifetime of Love. Ronald V. Hall Funeral Home.
At Vidalia Ford, we have a vehicle for every lifestyle. This is Andre Christmas, and there is no need to go out of town because we have a vehicle that best fits you right here at Vidalia Ford. And we want to sweeten the deal with great savings on 2017 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Right now, you can get the 2017 Ford Focus, Ford Fusion, or Ford Mustang with up to $5,500 in total savings. Or we're offering up to $8,000 on 2017 Ford Expeditions. Remember, the best deals are right here at home at Vidalia Ford, Highway 280 East.
I know you don't like to wait at the doctor's office when you're sick. That's why the Acute Care Clinic in Vidalia has expanded their staff to see you quicker with their new Fast Track program for urgent and sick visits. They have extended weekday hours and are also open on Saturday and Sunday. Call them at 537-9488 or drop by any day of the week for easy access to quality care. The Acute Care Clinic, your time, your health, our priority.
Back to the show. Change for that.
Well, welcome back to Change for That. Chester Proctor, Kurt Tootle, along with fill-in for Cedric Thrower, Andrew the Baptized Hodges. And welcome, Andrew. You're
salt of the earth.
He's an Andrew of... Oh, speaking of, we'll be at... Very good segue.
Yeah.
Andrew is man of few words today. Yes. How are we going to do this? Are you just going to jump in whenever you feel the urge to say, wait, I've got an opinion on that? Okay, all right, that's fine. You don't have to get upset about it.
However you want to.
No, it's up to you. This is your show, baby. I'm just passing through.
How is it my show?
It just became your show.
Okay.
All right.
It's no longer called Change for That.
These preteens, boy, they got such attitudes, don't they?
Man.
Hey, we're talking before the break about Christian folks. I want to thank the fine folks at Tracy Todd from Vidalia First Baptist Church and the fine folks over at Windshape that just left the area and had an amazing camp once again.
I hate that I missed it this year.
It's a great camp. I got to go by Tuesday. I got to go pray with kids on Wednesday. I don't know what the final numbers were on salvations, but I got to go pray with them. And I got to experience some of the family fun day on Friday, just kind of going back and forth. Of course, the school is located a block from my church, so I can make it quickly over there and go by. Also went out to the Daniel Baptist Association camp where the children's camp was going on, but we were ushered quickly through there because they have a very high security force and they're
got to keep the kids safe.
They're not nearly as open to pastors and people coming by as as Windshape is, and it is all in the name of safety. But I'm gonna tell you something. I only know the protection as being that high as at camp in Adrian and 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Those are the only two places I know that they have snipers on the rooftop. So at least dealing with that stuff. But with that being said, that's my little jab, and I'm not ashamed of it. I am thankful though that both organizations put on camps and kids over because of the two organizations, over 500 kids were exposed to a fun week at those locations and the gospel. And so that's exciting stuff. And speaking of the gospel and speaking of the Word of God, let's talk about the question that one of our listeners has. And you alluded to it earlier. That question that comes from one of our listeners that was sent to us at changeforthat@gmail.com. Or you can visit and send it in the Insiders group. It says simply this: how does salt lose its saltiness? In other words, what is a Christ follower's saltiness? And the listener's talking about when we are told to that if we are just put in a barrel and we just sit there, we lose our saltiness, right? Is that what he's talking about?
I'm guessing.
I guess so.
All right. Is that put in a barrel? So saltiness, Kurt. What is Jesus talking about?
Well, I was just reading up on some notes before you asked this question during the break, and one of the things I saw on gotquestions.org about this issue is they gave two purposes for salt, and one of those purposes is to preserve something, not only to season something, but to preserve it. And I think as Christians, that's kind of what we do. We are there to kind of be different than the rest of the world, and that's what salt is as a seasoning, as something that preserves. It's different from anything else. So when the Bible talks about losing our saltiness, to me, that's along the lines of a Christian that kind of backs away from God, that kind of accepts the ways of the world, starts conforming to the ways of the world. It no longer looks like a Christ follower. It looks like exactly what's in the world.
Bland.
Yeah, it's bland. It has no flavor. It's nothing like Jesus.
No pizzazz.
Yeah, no pizzazz.
No bada bing.
Yeah.
Zip zip.
Zip zip bada bing.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
It's
So
Italian.
but it loses its saltiness,
Yeah.
and it is just like the rest of the world. It conforms. So that's what I think Scripture's talking about there.
Yanni, what?
Did I put you to sleep? Andrew?
You've lost your saltiness.
I know. Wow.
I hope the rest of the listeners aren't as bored as Andrew is over there. Yeah, that's good, and that is always the illustration of not of purifying, of preserving, and then also of just the uselessness. I mean, if you lose your saltiness, you basically have lost your usefulness, and you become useless. Would that be kind of like I don't know, doing something? So let's say you do something for somebody, and then they treat you, they're Christian, and they treat you like you've imposed upon them, and they just kind of say like hurry up and move along. Is that kind of have they lost their saltiness?
Yes.
Dynamite drop in there. That was good. No, I think, I don't know.
I don't think you can make this answer any more clear than Andrew just did.
Yeah, and I don't think you can really judge a person based off of one action.
No, not off of one, but what if it continues?
Then yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
But I mean, we mess up from time to time. We have bad days. We treat people crappy sometimes. But if it's a continuous thing, then there's obviously a problem in the spirit there. But
it's good.
But I think, well, never mind. Keep going.
Yeah. So the salty. So to answer the question, because we want to make sure that they get the answer here once again. To just kind of recap this, it's a purely simple answer, and I don't mean simple in the way that the person asking it is not should know it. What I mean is it's a basic, straightforward answer, and the answer is that when you lose the saltiness or you become bland, I would say that in the Christian world, it's a Christian who becomes apathetic. It's a Christian who no longer is on fire. They've become lukewarm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was it's like when a cup of hot coffee, you leave it sitting out and it gets kind of cold. It's no longer good. It's nasty.
Yeah.
And in Revelation, Jesus talks about that, about being lukewarm, and he says he'll spit you out of his mouth. And that's when you look at losing your saltiness. It's not that you're no longer like Christ, even, which that's true, but you're also dragging other people down with you, I think. Because what attracts people to Jesus? Obviously, the Holy Spirit draws them towards Jesus. But when you look at people that are Christ followers, that are filled with the Holy Spirit, they're different than the world. And sinners and lost people see that. They see that difference, and they're drawn to it. And if they see a person that claims to follow Christ, but they're not doing anything different than the world, I've heard it said they might as well sleep in on Sundays.
Yeah,
so
that's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so there you go. Andrew, that makes sense?
Yep.
All right, our listeners should understand the saltiness then, right?
Yep.
All right, sounds good. We'll be back. We're going to talk about one more thing when we come back. Remember, your questions can be sent to us on Facebook by becoming an insider. A change for that on Facebook. Change for that. Community Insiders brought to you by Gigi's Landscaping.
Change for that. We'll be right back.
Well, you can be a guy or you can be a gal. You can be a Larry, Mary, Stephen, Nick, or Sal. You can be from here or you can be from there. As long as you got flavor, Zaxby's just don't care. You can be anyone and have your own flair. As long as you got flavor, Zaxby's just don't care.
And now try the flavor of hot honey mustard on the boneless wings meal. Served with crinkle fries, Texas toast, and a 22-ounce drink. Friends, family, flavor. Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
A lifetime of love.
In such a time of personal loss, it's hard to remember the joy our loved one has brought us.
We thought back to our happiest memories of Mom.
Pretty soon there was laughter with the tears.
Let us help your family remember a lifetime of joy.
The lifetime of love.
Memories of a Lifetime of Love. Ronald V. Hall Funeral Home.
At Vidalia Ford, we have a vehicle for every lifestyle. This is Andre Christmas, and there is no need to go out of town because we have a vehicle that best fits you right here at Vidalia Ford. And we want to sweeten the deal with great savings on 2017 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Right now, you can get the 2017 Ford Focus, Ford Fusion, or Ford Mustang with up to $5,500 in total savings. Or we're offering up to $8,000 on 2017 Ford Expeditions. Remember, the best deals are right here at home at Vidalia Ford, Highway 280 East.
I know you don't like to wait at the doctor's office when you're sick. That's why the Acute Care Clinic in Vidalia has expanded their staff to see you quicker with their new Fast Track program for urgent and sick visits. They have extended weekday hours and are also open on Saturday and Sunday. Call them at 537-9488 or drop by any day of the week for easy access to quality care. The Acute Care Clinic, your time, your health, our priority.
Back to the show. Change for that.
Want to know what they really think? It's time for one more thing.
Because during the first part of the show, we didn't really tell you what we really thought. It's now time for one more thing. In other words, we were lying the whole time. Actually, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have touched that.
You got a little too excited.
I did, and I shorted out the microphone. The power and electricity running through me. So here's a new study. I think new studies are always fun. Because they're usually full of useless information and
made up statistics.
But Professor David Geffen of the School of Medicine at UCLA, Keith Norris is a professor at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. I don't know. David did not do the study.
Thanks, David.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. But the study says that church attendance can help you. Are you ready for this? Help you live longer.
People should go to church.
I mean, come on.
Amen.
See? If you want to live longer, go to church. See, I wonder, though. Now, I'll tell you the stats, the data. They said that they found the study actually attending church is good for your health for those who are between the ages of 40 and 65. For those who did not attend church at all, they were twice as likely to die prematurely than those who did attend church at some point over the year. According to the research, middle-aged adults who attend church, synagogue, mosque, or other houses of worship, okay, all of a sudden this just became non-Christian, reduced their mortality rate by 55%. It was gathered from 5,449 participants of both sexes and all races. The research might suggest there's a connection between spiritual health and biological outcomes. I have a thought.
I do too.
All right, you go, because I got a feeling we're on the same page here.
Well, mine has nothing to do with any type of spiritual thing.
Mine either.
I was going to say they live longer because they get more naps in. During church?
Oh, well, not at my church. I don't know how boring you are, but anybody sleeping in your church?
No.
Okay, so your folks are going to die at a regular age?
Probably.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Wait.
You have an opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that
This is Andrew Hodges, by the way, folks. Andrew Hodges got baptized last Sunday.
Well, I don't think that when you don't go to church that you don't live longer. I think you can live longer either way.
Okay, why do you think that?
Because they just think that if you don't go to church that you live longer, because if you don't go to church you don't have God on your side.
No, but why do you think that you can live longer if you don't go to church?
I don't think you can live longer if you...
So you agree with this study?
A little bit.
And you think it's because you have God on your side?
Yes, if you don't go to church, you have Satan on your side poking you in the back.
Poking you in the back, huh? Is this a biblical thing where Satan just like poking you in the back? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
So everybody who doesn't go to church, according to your theology, has Satan on their side?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
If you're not a Christian.
Oh, if you're not a Christian. So can you, because I was fixing to say he just got very primitive Baptist on us. No offense to our primitive Baptist listeners, because I don't think they're allowed to listen to radios. But you are your theology here then is that you can only go to heaven if you're a Christian. But what about Christians who die young? What about Christians who go to church and die young?
Well, their opinion is wrong.
Whose opinion?
The David dude.
Oh, David! David didn't do this one. That was the name of the school. So it is kind of like having Cedric here.
Yeah, yeah.
The argument's about the same there, so that's good.
He's a good feeling.
Last time Cedric was not here, somebody told him we were picking on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whoever that is, you have a big mouth. Okay. Cedric came back, but he couldn't remember. I don't think Cedric. It's probably somebody just said, "Hey, I heard him talking about you." You know, and Cedric, what'd they say? So we said you should be here.
Yeah, really.
I'll tell you what I think it is in the next couple minutes we wrap up here. I think that it comes down to, well, I wouldn't say this definitively, but what if it comes down to something more along the lines of a happier person, a person who's making better life decisions? Mm-hmm. Maybe a person who's not going, especially in this age group of 45 to 65. Those people are 45 to 65-year-old churchgoers are probably not going out and getting drunk and driving the dirt roads.
Hopefully.
And, I mean, some of them might be, but most of them probably aren't. They're probably not making poorer life decisions. Mm-hmm. They're more established, better established. But they probably also, if they have a real spiritual connection, if they really believe. And because, again, here's the thing. We joke around about what you said earlier, Andrew, but that study didn't just do Christian. That study was studying Muslims. It was studying Jews. It was studying people who we would argue as Christians don't have a spiritual connection to Christ.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's not just the mentality of having that feeling, that happiness, that joy of, because, come on, everybody has a better day when they're positive.
Yeah.
You speak life, good things are going to happen. It doesn't mean you have the power to actually speak things into existence, although there are people who believe you can do that. Yeah. But you do have the power to speak positive and encourage yourself when you hear the positivity coming out of you.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I also think that, we know that church, on a weekly basis, we usually go Sunday and Wednesday for most churches, but not only are you making better life choices, but you're also the company that you keep has a good impact on you. And you're constantly around, hopefully, very positive people that are kind of helping you recharge, through a rough week. And you're around people that are going to encourage you instead of belittle you. And hopefully most churches don't belittle you, but
unless you're a pastor.
Yeah.
And you just left a deacons meeting.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And Sister Better Than You was upset, right?
Sister Better Than
So
You.
she had to say something about it. Can I say, I joke around about deacons, and I've been in some tough situations in my time, but I have one of the best group of deacons at Smith Street. I just am. I mean, coming up on next Sunday, we're doing a deacon appreciation. I can't wait. I'm going to roast them, too, some of them. But anyway, that's all the time we got today.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Change for That. We'll catch you next time.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Chester Proctor sliding in here at the end after everybody else has left the studio to make sure you know that you can become a Change for That Insider by going on Facebook.com, searching for the Insiders Group. It's free, and it's brought to you by GG's Landscaping.